If you're relocating to Rochester at some point, this question comes up. Should we live in Rochester or just outside of it? And for a lot of buyers, the answer feels pretty obvious. More space, maybe newer homes, they get away from the hustle and bustle, stronger school alignment. Living outside Rochester sounds like the upgrade, but here's the reality that most people don't fully think through until after they move. Living outside Rochester isn't about price or square footage. It's about whether the daily trade-offs actually work for your life, especially in wintertime. I'm Kelly Domaille with Domaille Real Estate. We help people relocate to this area every single week, and this is one of the decisions that either works beautifully or it quietly wears people down over time. So let's talk about what living outside of Rochester really looks like. Most buyers looking outside of the city are drawn to smaller communities like Byron, Stewartville, and Casson, or other nearby towns. And these areas typically offer newer subdivisions, maybe some larger lots, quieter neighborhoods, and a real strong sense of community. And schools are often a major factor. Families like the smaller town feel, and for buyers coming from larger metros, the pace can feel like a little bit of a relief. Now, from a housing standpoint, living outside of Rochester often means more house for the money. Newer construction is more available, layouts feel modern, garages are bigger, and yards are easier to come by. And this is why so many buyers start their searches here. But here's where reality sets in. Living outside Rochester changes how you experience time, because commutes obviously are going to be a little bit longer if you work in Rochester. Errands take a little bit more planning, and winter is going to magnify everything. A 15 to 20-minute drive in summer feels very different when roads are snow-covered and visibility is reduced and schedules are tight. Snow removal is pretty good in most surrounding communities, but it's not identical everywhere, and timing matters when you're commuting daily for work. Now, this is where some buyers thrive and where others struggle. But before we go any further, if you're finding this breakdown helpful, this is a good time to subscribe to our YouTube channel and focus on the real lived-in side of relocation, not just listings, so that you can make decisions that hold up long-term. Now let's talk about who tends to do really well living outside Rochester. Buyers who thrive here usually value space over proximity. They're comfortable planning their day instead of hopping in a car multiple times, and many work hybrid schedules with flexible hours, and they don't need to be downtown Rochester every day. Now, families with kids often love the neighborhood feel and the school communities. And these buyers, they don't mind winter driving because they've planned for it. They understand the rhythm and they choose the location intentionally. Now, where frustration is going to show up is when buyers underestimate how often they need to be in Rochester for medical appointments, maybe activities, work obligations, or just last-minute errands. And if you assumed those would be occasional, but they turn out to be daily, well, that extra driving can start to feel heavy, especially in January and February. So this is also where we see regret when buyers move outside of Rochester before they understand how the city itself functions. They skip learning the quadrants, they skip testing commute patterns, and they end up feeling disconnected from the community. And that doesn't mean living outside Rochester is a mistake. It means it's a trade. At this point, if you're trying to decide whether living outside Rochester makes sense for you, you can scan the QR code on our screen to download our free Rochester Relocation Kit. It walks you through the commute reality, winter considerations, and lifestyle fit so that you can kind of pressure test this decision before you commit. Now, here's the part most people don't expect. Living outside of Rochester can often work best after people understand Rochester. We see many buyers start in the city, they learn which areas fit their lifestyle, and then they move outward with confidence. We also see buyers who move outside first, they love it immediately, and they never look back. So the common denominator isn't location, it's just clarity. Living outside of Rochester tends to be a strong fit for buyers who they want space, maybe newer home options, they're comfortable with winter commuting, and they don't need daily access to the downtown area or the city amenities. They value schools, community, and maybe a little bit of quiet over convenience. And it's usually a weaker fit for buyers who have unpredictable schedules, who need to be close to work every day, who underestimate winter driving, or they assume outside of Rochester functions the same year-round. So here's the takeaway. Living outside Rochester isn't better or worse than living in the city of Rochester. It's just a lifestyle decision. And when buyers choose it intentionally, it's one of the best moves they make. But when they choose it to avoid something like price, traffic, or uncertainty, that's where regret starts. I'm Kelly Domaille with Domaille Real Estate. We live here, we work here, and we help people just like you choose where to live based on how life actually works, not how it looks like on a map. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.